Welcome. You are at the CCC.
Where there are no outside issues. My name is Anthony. I'm an addict and an alcoholic, another bozo on the bus, and I care about you.
My name is Jordan, an addict, always trying to make good choices.
And I'm Lewis, and my pronouns are he, him, and I'm recovering for crystal meth and alcohol, and I'm always in search of balance. And each week we strive to foster a brave space where we can engage in conversations centered around topics of recovery.
Yes, and our intention is to hold and inspire better spaces for more people in recovery by tackling issues sometimes used to separate us.
Yes, but before we do that, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Also, make sure that, they're letting you know when new episodes drop. Hey.
Oh, yeah. What is that? Where you on YouTube, it's you click the bell.
Yeah, click the bell.
On all the other ones, you follow, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or just know it's on Mondays.
Louis, when you start, I know I'll read the disclaimer. I'll say the disclaimer in a second. I almost started laughing while you were talking because you rolled your eyes right before we started recording.
I didn't
You're like, here we go.
I didn't even notice that.
So much attitude and doesn't even know it. And now the disclaimer, the thoughts and opinions expressed on at the CCC are only. We do not represent anyone but ourselves. In other words, we're just a couple of friends behind a mic here to entertain you. And of course, everything we talk about is for general information purposes only.
Right on.
Only.
So you know what's really cool?
Tell me.
I guess I didn't realize, and I just, this is why I mentioned it, in that most of the people who listen to this or who have signed up, they get like a prompt.
Yeah, I get mine. I get them.
Yeah,
when they
so
come
it's
in.
like it's good because I was thinking, well, how is it that it's so consistent? Because I was thinking sometimes we have little breaks in between. And people are like Dominic. Dominic sent me a message and said, when is the next episode coming out? And I'm let me just text Brandon.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, Brandon. We love you, Brandon.
No, we absolutely love you. We love
do.
you, and we know how busy she is. Actually, that's I'm gonna do. Brandon, you should delegate it to Paul.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
let's not put more work on everyone else's plates.
He's just sitting at home watching us anyways from the cafe.
He is.
Oh,
Brandon is. He will spy on you.
Oh, that's so
Send you
funny.
screenshots of the cameras.
I'm gonna be like,
And he always gets my bald spot. It's so fucking annoying.
That's a hate crime.
Really crime.
Sexual harassment.
I know. We don't like that. Everyone's good?
I think we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Anna.
Anna's back.
We love her.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm doing my princess way.
Anna, what's your tagline? What's your house?
Yeah, what would your tagline
my
be?
hashtag is my pronouns are she, her, or daddy.
Daddy.
All my opinions and views are my own. I speak for no one in no one singular community.
And thank God.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I sent you something on. I don't know which one I sent it on, but it was somebody saying pretty much the same thing, that their pronouns were daddy.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah.
That was cute.
Yeah.
Cute.
Did we like that?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Loved it.
You were speaking in tongues. I heard none of that.
Oh my God.
You just took me back. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I'm from like
I'm putting oil on my hands and
that's so funny. So today is a continuation of our series, More Than One Way to Sobriety, More Than One Way of Doing Recovery. We're going to continue our conversation about Women for Sobriety. So before that, we did Secular Organizations for Sobriety, and now we're moving to WFS, so Women for Sobriety. Quick recap, if you're just listening for the first time, Women for Sobriety is a gender-specific recovery program that was created in response to many women experiencing traditional recovery spaces as shaming or male-centered or overly punitive. And so rather than focusing on things like confession or powerlessness, WFS emphasizes emotional growth, self-esteem, and self-compassion as the foundation of lasting recovery. And y'all might remember too from our last episode that Women for Sobriety, WFS, also has their 13 statements, which are part of their program, and then also also part of the way meetings are structured is around those 13 statements. So we're going to continue the conversation today with Anna. I don't know why I almost forgot your name. I was looking right at you.
Well, you really forgot because you're sending her messages to somebody else. They're all, can you please Can you please stop sending me this nonsense?
Stop sending me all these trans videos. What's all this? Oh my goodness. Recruitment.
Anna, is this you?
Oh my goodness.
Please stop calling me daddies.
Oh my god.
That's so funny. Anna, you were saying that when we were talking about this before we started recording, you were saying that a lot of WFS sounds like some of the recovery experiences you've had. There's one specific book you'd mentioned, and so can you say a little bit about what your experiences have been?
Sure. So, I mean, I myself specifically, when I tried to get clean and sober this last time around, I wanted to do something different. And so that's what got me interested in 12-step. When I came to the Castro, I specifically came to be around men, but men that weren't necessarily interested in me, to allow me to learn how to have not just a conversation, but relationships with men on a healthy, in a different way, healthier way. And when I first got here, I met who is now still my sponsor, and reading the acceptance statements and then just knowing a little bit more about this program that we were talking about. I remember years back going to, I believe, one of these meetings, because a lot of this sounds very familiar. And I remember specifically one of the books that was recommended to me that I got as a result of attending the meeting was, great, where to go, Kindle?
It was
I saw Becoming Michelle Obama.
Which is also a really good read.
Yeah, I know.
A Woman's Way Through the 12 Steps. And I've read it multiple times. I've really enjoyed it. But I do feel that this kind of ties into the last conversation we had, because it is very singular. It's about self and self kind of directing. But there's no necessarily any spiritual sense. And I feel like for me, oddly enough, one of the things that I like about specifically 12 Step is that, yes, I take ownership of my own actions and things that I've done, but I also have come to understand that some things were not in my control. I had no power over some things. And I feel like that's different from what we're reading here in the 13 statements, right?
Wait, what's different from the 13 statements?
So here, one of the things that it says, and it really caught my attention, is I now take charge of my life and my well-being. I accept the responsibility. And I'm like, well, that's pretty vague, but like, am I taking responsibility for things that even I didn't necessarily have control over?
Oh,
Do you know what I mean?
I know. It's like,
And now that like more that I'm thinking about this meeting, I remember going, and I think I told you before we started, we were enjoying the meeting, but then it got a little woo-woo for me.
Explain how it got woo-woo, yeah.
I think it's just different from what I've come to become accustomed to, where it is about a sisterhood, but we have a higher power. And it was very much that the power was the group. And I know that in 12 Steps here, we talk about like before you can come up with your own higher power, anything can be your higher power as long as it's outside of you. But this was on a different level. And I do remember specifically, now, the more that I think about it, one of the reasons why I had a hard time was because, and one of the reasons why my sponsor was like, let's go, was because someone had made like a transphobic remark.
At one of these meetings?
Yes.
Oh no.
And
Were they
so
turfy?
It was turfy.
Oh no.
It's like, but it was very much, we welcome everybody, but.
What is turfy?
turf. Like,
So do you want to look up the definition?
Yeah. Keep going. I don't want to interrupt you.
Because I'll forget. Yeah. So I know that for me specifically, on top of trying to get clean and sober as a woman, my lived experience is that of a trans woman. And so, I usually trust the women around me, cis women, to kind of guide me because I trust them. And so we went on to this meeting and it was very woo-woo. It was like awesome. I got to meet some women with like double-digit recovery and like all aspects of life, right? You had your bougie white ladies. You had your POC women with, multiple babies, like Life is
Okay, girl.
Life is life. And
Wow. Like, are we getting ready to talk about a turf? And then you just said that? God, I live for Anna. It's like,
my God.
Listen, these are just the facts that were there at that moment, right?
Oh my goodness. These other groups catching strays.
And of course,
Jesus.
She called them welfare moms.
She's like, and the welfare moms.
no, and the thing is, though, that's what it felt like when I was there, because I was like, everybody's welcomed, right? But then, of course, I click with my group, like these women of color, we're like chopping it up. But then you feel the energy shift from the other women that are there who happen to be cis white women, right?
Yeah.
And so then you can feel the different dynamics of like, we have multiple years. We brought this one along to like, she needs guidance because she, I don't know how to describe it other than they felt like the energy felt like they thought they were better and they were helping these poor people.
Oh no.
So, it felt very like that, right?
Yeah.
And
that was the kind of before, and I don't want to, how the other conversations we had with regards to this notion of a hierarchy, where it's like, even though it's not really, you can't change somebody's idea if that's what they feel. If they feel if they feel when they come in 12 step that there's some high, because I thought if you shared or if you were up front, you were a superstar. I'm going to come and get your autograph afterwards. Little did I know, they were just as fucked up as
But it takes time to figure that out. Yeah,
exactly. It's
You
like,
get some time and you're like, oh, everyone here is fucked up. But to answer Jordan's question, TERF stands for trans exclusionary radical feminists. So it's like feminists who
i.e. J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, feminists who exclude trans women.
Gotcha.
Quick tangent. So I've experienced that a lot because I'm also involved in Women's Weekend, which happens in Gerville with my sponsor. And she wanted to get me involved because I'm a woman. But she let me know if anybody gave me any problems to let her know. And of course there was. You know what I mean? There were some older lesbians that have been to a Women's Weekend, I don't know, since before I was born. And they feel very safe about their space, and they think I'm encroaching on their space, or I'm there to take something away from them or to impose something on their space. And the reality that it's not. As a woman, I have the same right to the space as you do, especially since I'm pansexual, right? Because most of the women that go here are like lesbians, right? So
another community catching strays.
Listen, I wear many hats, many jock straps. You know what I mean? I'm a part of many communities. But anyways, back to this meeting. I was kind of like, again, like most things that make me uncomfortable, I've learned in recovery to just write it through and see like if it's just my fear talking. But then, like I was saying, I remember feeling like some weird energy, and then a remark was made about me being trans.
Oh no.
And I believe that that's when I was like, hey, do you want to stay or like, let's go. Like, if you want to go, we can go. And I remember saying, no, I don't want to cause a zine, and let's just finish the meeting. And we finished the meeting and we never went back.
Anna, you know how you said if something's uncomfortable, you write it through.
Yes.
Has it always been that way for you? Because it's like, I think about that. It's like, I think about how.
Yes. But in my addiction, I use so that I could just say, fuck it. And like, if I was still using, I would have left as soon as I felt this weird energy.
Absolutely, yeah.
As soon as I like even got an inkling that there was some kind of transphobia, I wouldn't have stayed for it. I would have been like, fuck all of you. Yeah. I'm a woman, deuces, and I'm out. And so that's what I did most of my life. Right. But no, in recovery, I've learned that, and I've healed a lot from experiences that, were uncomfortable to begin with.
Absolutely. It's like, I don't, it isn't lost on me that a lot of times I think the reason why I've been able to have the success in recovery that I have is because during the times when my head was telling me something else was going on, I kind of sat with it, soldiered through it, and I know that that's not the case for a lot of folks. Yeah, like they run because it's not easy. It's not.
Yeah.
But I've come back, and I mean, I've gotten more involved with women in CMA, specifically AA, because there's a lot more women in AA. And now I have a great, like more than 2 handfuls of women that I can call.
But a lot of the time too. You set the you get to set the tone, huh?
I do.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting because a lot of what we were talking about, this group that you were what they called again?
Women for Sobriety.
Yeah.
Women for
WFS.
Sobriety. A lot of the things that they were mentioning is a lot of the things that I think generally in women in recovery period work on. I know for me, a lot of my issues and trauma came from like self-image, trauma around men, self-worth, self-value, validation. I saw a lot of validation through men, right? Like I'm not woman enough unless I have this man, these things. And so a lot of it when I got sober was, looking at myself in the mirror, saying one nice thing about myself
Oh, I love
for
that.
like
Yeah.
weeks on end. Now we have a problem because now
you're full of yourself.
Now I'm full of myself, and that is the problem. Sometimes my sponsees are like, "You look a hot mess, but what is this energy?" And I'm like, "Because I am that girl. I am that girl." Recovery's created a monster. I'm not saying I'm perfect 24/7, but I've definitely have gone from a person that very 50s where like in order to find any value, I had to ask my partner, am I happy today? Because I didn't know, to the point where like 90% of the time I'm pretty content and happy and I can look at myself and know that I'm beautiful and I'm valid. But I learned a lot of that from the women's meetings and women's retreats that I've been to in sobriety.
Yeah. What you're reminding me of is, I don't know why I assumed that these spaces would be so welcoming. I don't know why I assumed that.
I don't know why either, because it's like when you were talking about that earlier, when you're talking about giving the definition of terms, I was thinking like white feminist women have excluded women of color.
Oh yeah, first wave feminism. Yeah. First wave.
But
feminism.
also, again, when I came to the Castro, I had a lot of growing pains because a lot of gay men are misogynist.
Oh, absolutely.
Girl, you're touching
We
on
all
so
have our
many
issues.
different.
The thing
there's-
is, when you're surrounded by nothing but men, because you like men, you work with men, and then a woman comes in, you don't necessarily know how to act around women.
Yeah.
And then I know that for me, one of my first experiences with a gay fellow in the recovery rooms was this giant man, and he just grabbed my breast.
Oh.
And then when I said, "Please don't do that, don't touch me," and then, she lets me. I was like, I don't know. First of all, who you're talking about? I don't know this person. And it turns out I do know this person. But they're cis, and that's them though.
That's
and I
their
tried
thing,
to explain that to him. And I feel like my first 5 years in recovery, a lot of me making my way in recovery and making a place for myself was educating the men around me.
Right. And what you're pointing to is that even in a queer space, right, a trans person cannot feel safe or a woman cannot feel safe. And I also think there's something to be said there where I think in some spaces that I've been in where some gay men will interact with women as though they're drag queens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. So like slapping a drag queen's ass or like, right. And there's a clear difference between a woman and a drag queen.
I think
with respect to like body. Yeah.
I think an interesting dynamic for all of us is like, this is an open kind of classroom or a laboratory, and we're all messily trying to figure out how to be better. And I think that like in some ways I give a little more grace to individuals who don't show up in the way that I'm expecting just because of some of the struggles. But
which is what happened to me, because I was expecting gay men to be like nicer, not necessarily nicer, but
was I nice to you?
You were you.
I'm just
but it wasn't necessarily nicer, but it was more, I don't know. It was just, I'm not one of the boys. You can't just touch my body. And again, it's very individual, because since being in the rooms for a while, I have seen some cis women that the way that they interact with these boys or these men, I'm just like, I'm glad these men know me, because if they tried that with me, oh no, daddy would get really upset real quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, and this highlights why we need certain spaces, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And you're also highlighting how there's a lot of intersection there, right? Like, be it, I'm just thinking about like being around gay men as like a trans woman, and then like and how misogyny can show up in their relationship to trans women or their exclusion of women in general.
But not even that, just also letting gay men know that women come in different shapes, forms, and sizes, right? A lot of them were like, well, you're a woman. Why don't you dress this way? Da, da, da. And I'm like, honey, I'm not a femme. I'm not a femme. I've definitely have gotten more femme now that I do drag. Drag has brought out the femme side in me, but like I'm still pretty much a tomboy. And it took years for a lot of my friends to realize that like not all women wear dresses. Not all women want to, you know, be hyper femme 24/7.
Yeah.
Have you all experienced this? Something? Okay, so the misogyny, the microaggressions, sometimes I think they're diabolical when they're subtle, when it's not so obvious, and you recognize it because you've been doing the work.
And then people
you're all-
gaslight you and tell you
and
that
they
you're
try to
crazy.
gas it. It's like, I'm all, what are you talking about? What are you? Yeah, it's like I'm all
Say their names.
say their names.
Or they try to play it off as, oh, I'm gay. You know, that's not what I meant. Or, you know,
Oh, God.
I have black friends. That's not what I meant. And I was like,
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Thoughts, Jordan? You got thoughts?
Yeah.
Do I have thoughts? I guess I'm just wondering.
Welcome back, Jordan.
Welcome back, Jordan. Jordan was on sabbatical.
Yeah. I guess I'm wondering, like, is there like a WFS like
In the
chapter?
city.
Yeah, like where are their meetings? Like, I've never like.
well, I think the one that I went to was all the way in Walnut Creek,
They're,
if not
they're
further.
underground.
Are they all just like women only meetings that just happen? They just like function as both. You know,
What are you asking right now?
like okay, so there's meetings that are women only.
Yeah.
Right? Do they function as WFS or is it AA that happens to be women only?
Well, I will say that the one that I went to was different than a 12-step women's meeting that I went to.
Okay.
First, the vibe was different. And it felt more welcoming to all types of women. Like I said, as soon as I walked into that other meeting, I felt all eyes on me. Right. And then once the microaggressions.
That's how it is when that's how it is when a white person walks into the BIPOC now. I'm all, even if it's a close friend, I'm all, what are you doing here?
Right. But yeah, no, like I've been to, like I love a women's meeting, but I went to this one and I believe it was one of the ones that we're talking about. And it just, like, I've learned in recovery that what works for somebody else does not necessarily work for me. And, you know, I love that for you. I just learned that that wasn't what I was needing and looking for.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it happened when I had, like, my support with me.
Yeah,
Because the
absolutely.
problem is, especially when you're getting clean and sober and you happen to be a woman, but a woman who's trans, and something like this could happen and you don't have support around you, you're just like, well, is this what
Yeah.
it's all like? Well, fuck it. I'm just never gonna try
Could you
this
imagine
again.
what it would have been like if you'd walked in there by yourself? No, it's like we got that dead silence.
Yeah, I'm
Everybody's
like,
gonna
we're in a
look over and
podcast. Yeah.
Well, no, and I do know what you're saying, but I think that's also why I lately have made myself even more visible. Life has gotten really full for me, and I'm very
But you're a
grateful
rock
for
star.
that.
You're a rock star now, and I think because of your experiences, you know that there's probably somebody that is going to see you and know that this is a safe space. Or at least
Exactly,
it
and
is-
that's why I do it. That's why I started volunteering again at the club. We have, in the last 2-3 years, had an influx of new trans people come into the rooms.
Oh, we have,
and
yeah.
unfortunately,
We've
they've
been
had bad experiences.
We've been manufacturing that.
At meetings, right? It's in the tonic. It's in the tonic. But they've had bad experiences,
Yeah.
and my life was really full, and so I hadn't been around and visible as much as I wanted to. But once I heard this, I feel like I'm established in the community. So then I
Absolutely.
decided to put myself out there even more, so that when other trans people are around, they do feel like they're not alone, and they are safe here.
Absolutely.
Because I didn't necessarily have that. What I had was my sponsor. She, as soon as saw me, she adopted me and like made me feel very warmed and very welcomed. I was hesitant at first because she was cis, but like,
You know, something that I've taken that it's easy for me to lose. Well, years ago when I first got here, I didn't notice it, but like as I've gotten older, I've noticed that almost all gay spaces that I've ever been in have been dominated by men. Like we're in the Castro and everything is geared toward men,
Absolutely.
right? And this is supposed to be the gay district,
yeah.
right?
Do you remember the little woman's clothing shop that used to be up here? And I was so in love because it was one of the few places where I could come to the Castro and do shopping for clothes for me. And then it didn't last very long.
Yeah. I wanted to share a little bit of the way their meetings are structured.
Okay.
WFS.
See if it sounds familiar.
Yeah. And so this is actually straight from their website, or one of them. And to answer Jordan's question, they have a very big online presence. So they have a lot of Zoom meetings. But I don't know of any that are in the area. I know there's an all women's meeting here at the Castro Country Club.
11:30 on Sundays. It's incredible.
It is huge. It's the biggest meeting
Sober
that they have.
sisters or what?
It's the biggest
No
meeting
empty
they have.
chairs. Sometimes there's so many women. They're standing.
And they have to pour out into the balcony, well, not balcony, into the patio.
Patio.
I heard that it's actually quite straight.
It is. It's a lot of straight cis women, but they're very open.
They're lesbians there too.
But the majority are actually straight women. You'd
Yeah,
be
they're
surprised.
older white
Yeah, but
straight
you know
women.
how easy it is. In
But it's
college
funny
for
how,
the-
again,
for straight women to
when you
hook
compare
up.
that to the meeting that I went to in Walnut Creek,
Yeah.
I walk in and I feel very safe, very welcome.
Yeah.
It's a Super Bowl type thing. You know how Lady Gaga did the whole salsa thing. They have to conform because they're in the middle of our hood.
I'm not seeing the connection. So
Oh my god.
That's because you.
Oh my God.
I did it for the joke.
I'm taking a picture of. This is his last picture.
Oh my God.
So I just want to talk a little bit about their structure and curious what folks at the table think. So the structure goes like this. It goes at the beginning of an in-person meeting, the 13 acceptance statements, excuse me, my nose is stuffy. The 13 acceptance statements and the mission statement are read out loud, and the certified facilitator, CF, which I guess would be the secretary at a 12-step meeting, may remind the group about the guidelines. Typically, each member of the group reads one of the 13 statements, and then the entire group reads the thought action. Each woman introduces herself by saying, "My name is blank and I'm a competent woman." She then shares a positive action, how she handled the situation differently, or a feeling she was able to identify and or respond to differently, and selects one of the 13 statements to which it relates. If a participant has an urgent need for support, feedback, or encouragement, she will have an opportunity to share. A topic will be introduced, typically based on a piece of WFS literature, and the discussion portion of the meeting begins. And then at the end of the meeting, participants stand in a circle, if possible, with joined hands and recite the WFS motto. We are capable and competent, caring and compassionate, always willing to help another, bonded together, and overcoming our addictions.
Yeah, that sounds very familiar. So I think that definitely was the meeting that I went to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think it's cute. I mean, I think
Not cute.
it is
Jordan.
cute. And I also think that, some of these things cannot be applied to me as a gay man, right? I see a lot of similarities between my coming out and teenage girls and body dysmorphia and comparing myself to people on TV, on magazines or whatever, right? And so I think when, again, coming back into recovery, I find myself doing the same thing that I used to do, right? And some of these statements can be helpful.
Right. And, I think, so it's interesting because a lot of gay men, or there's a lot of conversation about how the experience of gay men can be similar to that of women, right? And I think that is more about the idea of patriarchy than it is of gender or rather sex or sexual orientation, right? And I think, that could be its own conversation.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because if you look at statistics, statistically, women, gay men and women have about the same rates in regards to recovery and relapse, especially over men.
Oh, girl, interesting.
And, when I was getting my certificate to become a drug and alcohol counselor, I remember they were giving out statistics, right? And when I learned that, I was like, it kind of makes sense. And I think more to what you were saying about the oh my God, why can't I talk now?
I don't forget what we're talking about.
Patriarchy.
Oh, the
Thank you.
patriarchy. Yeah.
And
yeah,
it is. It's the feminine vibe and energy, right? And I think because you're more feminine than, I guess, a straight man, you're supposed to be treated a certain way, you're seen a certain way. And so I think society treats you that way. And so therefore, similar to another woman.
What I would say is it's not that it's more feminine. I would say that it's a different form of masculinity.
Yes, but
Right.
not the way society sees
Right, that's
it,
what I'm
though,
saying.
right?
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that in the way that I think about it, isn't that certain gay men are more feminine. It's that masculinity is presented differently, and that presentation diverges from what you were saying, like
Yes.
the dominant narrative.
Because the reality is, most of us have learned is that there is no, like way to be male or female.
Well, right, exactly, right. Because it's culture specific, right?
Yep.
It's like what's considered masculine in the United States is not going to look the same in, say, Europe, or really anywhere. You can even consider, I mean, even in when I've traveled the country, like different parts of the United States, being gay, quote unquote, shows up very differently.
Oh, yeah.
There shows up very different. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. I think we have to land the plane.
We do.
Yeah.
All I want to say real quick is that
Say it, girl.
these
Say it.
principles can
Preach. Why don't you read them? Why don't you read them and
want me to
lead
read
us
the
out that
acceptance
way?
statements?
Yeah, please.
Oh gosh. Okay.
We did it during the last one, but we could do it again.
Can I
Did
get
we?
my bag of nuts before we land the plane, though?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. The acceptance statements.
a bag of nuts.
I have a life-threatening problem that once had me. Negative thoughts destroy only myself. Happiness is a habit I am developing. Problems bother me only to the degree I permit. I am what I think. Life can be ordinary or it can be great. Love can change the course of my world. The fundamental object of life is emotional and spiritual growth. The past is gone forever. All love given returns. Enthusiasm is my daily exercise. I am a competent woman and I have much to give life. I'm responsible for myself and for my actions. Yeah.
Snaps.
So the Castro Country Club is a safe and sober community center for all people and a refuge for the LGBTQ recovery community.
We provide programs and services that help change lives by supporting personal growth.
Way. And our vision is to reduce the suffering of addiction by connecting people to community, opportunity, and support.
You can find more information, including all the ways to contact us at www.castrocountryclub.org/podcast.
And check out new episodes every Monday when they are dropped.
Every Monday. We love you.
Bye.
Bye.